me that bottle.
Sorry about that. Well, welcome. Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across this beautiful blue, green, Australian-shaped globe of ours. Welcome to Real News Live. It is a toxically masculine Tuesday with the usual crew. And may I say to all of the illegal aliens out there, happy early Cinco deported, because you are leaving. And may I be the first to say bye-bye. This one is for you. I'm drinking a little Crown Royal Black tonight, and I'm joined by all of the other great, awesome dudes in Las Vegas. I'm in Las Vegas. Starting with the guy to my right, the man you cannot spend 6 hours in a car with without coming away smarter, Dr. Brooks Agnew, somewhere in the Carolinas. Brooks, how's it going tonight, and what are we drinking?
Oh, it's almost 77 degrees today and sunny, and I'm drinking coffee tonight, and it's been a wonderful day.
Yeah, you know, it was, in fact, this is for the Cinco de Porto people.
Ooh, straight. I like it.
It's good stuff. I'm going to pour some of it in here. Yeah, it was 75 the last couple days here in Vegas. It's been absolutely nice. Literally 3 days ago, I was like, I got to get the comforter out of the closet because I'm freezing my ass off at night. I can't even sleep. And now it's 75 degrees and all warm here. Directly below Brooks, kitty corner to me, wearing the Puma shirt somewhere. Are you in Arkansas?
I am back home.
Back home in Arkansas is the most masculine man I know, a guy who survived me shooting him in the face with a 45. Trail boss.
9 millimeter.
It was a 9? I thought I was shooting a 45. Steve Doran. Doran, how are you doing, man? And what are you drinking tonight?
Oh, he froze.
Just froze. Wow.
Froze. Damn. All right. Well, Steve will be back, I'm sure. Also joining us, of course, is the intrepid cub reporter of the show, the youngest man in the crew. He's only 43. TV's Blake Wally. Shut up. No, you're 40. It's weird. There are people in your life, Blake. There's a guy named Art Timble that I worked with at Northrop Grumman, and he was like 32 when I met him. Really smart guy, funny, had some good times with him, and got married and had kids. Anyway, I just saw like a year ago he turned 50, and I'm like, fuck, if he's 50, what does that make me? Are there people in your life that you like gauge yourself by? Like, oh, I'm almost his same age, and what the hell? Does that happen? I mean, I don't know. Does it happen?
Yeah, it's crazy how fast it goes when you look back. It's amazing.
You were a little echoey today. Can you move your mic a little closer, maybe? Or
I'll try. Let's see what's going on.
We do not know what happened to Steve.
Yeah, MIA. Hopefully he'll come back. But I am here in the karaoke lounge today, once a month, and I'm going to be drinking. I'm going to open this new bottle of.
All right, you got me.
Maker's Mark. Okay, Steve, we're right in the middle of asking you what you were drinking down
I'm
there.
drinking some Russian lemon water.
Russian lemon water. Ooh.
I had some Russian beluga cognac. It was really, really good.
Also, welcome to the United States, Canada. Welcome to the United States. As we all know, Donald Trump imposed tariffs on Mexico and Canada this week, and he also severely threatened Panama. And guess what? Panama caved within about 24 hours. Mexico caved in even less time, and Canada is now in the process of caving and about to become the 51st state. And, you know, it's amazing. All the people on my Twitter feed who don't know what a woman is are suddenly experts in the economic effects of tariffs. Let's start with tariffs tonight. We're going to get into USAID, of course, which is a big story right now, as soon as we can. But, you know, tariffs are a great way to get what we want politically around the world, because let's face facts. We don't need the rest of the world. They need us. We don't need them at all. So when we start putting tariffs on all their products, guess what? They get in line really, really fast. And Brooks, what I don't get, or actually, Steve, let me start with you. What do you think the Democrats don't get about that? Do they just hate America so much they hate to see us win like this?
I mean, let's face reality. The Democrats are for a one world order. They want us all to be the same. They want to control our income. They want to control where we live, where we go, what we do, how far we can get away from our homes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so by limiting our incomes, by destroying America. That's the only way they can do it. As long as we have gas and oil, as long as we have cars that run on gas and oil, as long as we have money in our pockets, we can do what we want. The second they take that all away, it's all over. So that was their goal. That is still their goal. That is why we have to keep fighting even after this administration leaves, because they will try to do it again until they're successful and they're getting their one world order.
Right. And that's what's going to bring us to USA in a minute, because we have to destroy the deep state now in the next 4 years while we have the chance. It's like a boxer. When you got the guy on the ropes, you got to take him out, because he could always come back and hit you with a haymaker later on. Brooks,
Yep.
What are your thoughts on the tariff war, the so-called trade war? Oh, I remember everybody was all apoplectic on Sunday night. Oh, the futures are down 400 points. Oh, being down 400 points in a 44,000 market is not really something that worries me. Oh, but Trump's economy and prices of everything are going to go up. Prices of everything do not go up under tariffs. Just the prices of the garbage that you buy from fucking China goes up, not the stuff you buy that's made in America and is high quality products. So, Brooks, why don't you explain to everybody how tariffs work and why we're going to win this trade war?
Tariffs are the constitutional way for the government to raise money. And we were actually richer and more progressive than from 1824 to about 1961 than we ever have been before. In fact, I think about 1861, it was absolutely blowing and going. And the reason was we were using tariffs on foreign goods coming into the United States, and that's how the government was making money. And they were making so much money that they had to basically create a committee to figure out how to spend it all. There was no income tax. Now, when the 16th Amendment was ratified, it was ratified pretty quickly because they only went after the top 1% richest people, and they only had to pay 1%. So everybody said, well, fine, I don't have to pay it. That's fine. Everybody voted in and it was ratified. But once it was in, look where we are now. Everybody, if you make $18,000 a year, you're paying federal income tax. Now, screwed up as that. But here's the bad thing. You have to report to the government every penny you earn. And you waive your Fifth Amendment right every time you sign a 1040. That's what the Congress does not want to give up. They want people under control. They want to know how much money the people are making. And I say they have no right to know that.
Yeah, and you are absolutely right about that. It was the most profitable period. You know what else we did not have during that period up to 1913? We did not have a central bank. Isn't that interesting? No central bank, no income taxes, nothing but tariffs, and we have the most prosperous period in American history where money was gold and silver and a dollar was a fucking dollar.
Yeah, we fought 2 wars over it. 2 wars we fought over.
Well, we're one of the only countries that if you make money outside of the country, they expect you to report that income. Any other country, if you come to the U.S., let's say, and open a business and make money, and you're a citizen of a foreign country, they don't even care. They don't even ask.
Yep.
But in the U.S., you go to another country, you make a few bucks like Mike does in the U.K., they want to know how much he's making.
Fatka.
But if I don't participate, I don't participate. TV's Blake Wally, what did you think of the developments today politically? The Democrats were also trying to spin it yesterday that, oh, well, Mexico had already agreed to do this. So anyway, they were going to put 10,000 people on the border. That's not true. They were going to put 10,000 troops way back from the border, basically to try to manage the cartels. They were doing nothing to stop the flow of illegal immigrants across our southern border. Now their assignment is to keep those people from getting across the border or even getting to the border. So are Democrats, are they just toasting themselves right now? I mean, it's like here, I'm going to volunteer to be skinned alive by Donald Trump. It's kind of, does winning suck yet, Blake? Does winning suck?
Well, they felt like they were in control for a while. Yeah, Sunday night, it was crazy watching the cryptos. And then I was looking at Bloomberg on TV. And yeah,
having a hard time hearing you, Blake.
This historic, big meltdown with the economy. And then within like a few hours, the Democrats were just using that opportunity. They were dunking on it. They're saying, come on, you guys can apologize to us. You believe us now. Like we had made the biggest mistake. Trump had just destroyed our economy. And then within just a few hours, everybody conceded. So yeah, he pulled off another one. Yeah, it made the Democrats look like assholes again.
And it all went away. And you are you're very echoey tonight.
I think he's got his camera selected as his mic.
Oh yeah, you might check that. Check that setting. And then we'll get going on back to you on that.
You was correct.
Oh, okay, that was correct. Now let's hear you speak again.
How about now?
Oh, you sound
Good.
Spectacular.
Good.
Sorry
Tenor
about that.
voice right there. Yeah, you should be singing the opera with Bono on stage or something like that. All right, guys. So part of the fallout of this is, again, the Democrats are trying to make out like everything's going to go to hell in a handbasket. And again, the people who don't know what a fucking woman is are now experts on how tariffs work and economics. And here's the reality politically. People aren't going to blame Trump if something does go wrong. The Democrats are going to try to say, well, it's all Trump's policy. Whatever policy he's implementing at the moment will be the reason the economy goes down. But people aren't stupid. They know that Joe Biden handed this shitty economy to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is trying to fix it in short order. But he's also going to war directly with the deep state. Until a couple of days ago, you probably had never heard of anything called U.S. aid. Well, U.S. aid is basically, the Democrats are kind of, they're kind of spinning at both ends on this one. Oh, well, it's only 0.7% of the federal budget. It's only $38 or $40 billion a year. But what is being exposed with this takedown of this U.S. aid program is, guess what? That it has been a gigantic money laundering scheme for the Democrats for the last 50 or 60 years. Secretary Marco Rubio told, and the Trump administration have begun recalling all U.S. aid staffers on worldwide assignments per ABC, and the end is near for U.S. aid. And in fact, somebody posted Donald Trump saying bye-bye. It looks to me like Trump has basically said, well, that's the end of U.S. aid. And Senator Andy Kim said, I talked to the security guard there. They tried to go to the USAID building, tried to break in. Is this an insurrection, guys? Let's listen.
Senator Andy Kim from New Jersey. About 20 years ago, when I first came to work for the federal government, I walked through these doors right behind me. I was started off my career in public service at USAID. And I just have to say how proud I was to be able to serve the country, how proud I was to work for USAID, to be part of the foreign policy of this country. And I have to tell you, it was really tough today walking through these same doors 20-some years later, only to see it shut down to employees. Now, I got all weekend long, I was getting calls and phone calls from people that I worked with at USAID before, people that are there now, people who have been disrespected by this administration that pushes them to the side, basically calls them criminals.
Yeah, they are.
Tells them not to show up to work today.
That's right. Fuck you.
In
Don't
fact,
show
I
up.
went inside trying to speak to the acting administrator, Gray. Unfortunately, was not able to meet with him, and I'm going to continue.
Hopefully, he'll
to
be
try
one of the ones
today
they
to be able
convict.
to meet with the acting administrator because I want to hear straight from him. These are the orders that he gave. You have mysterious people within this new administration sending out emails across the entirety of USAID telling them not to show up. I talked to the security guard. I talked to the security guard just in there. He said he has been given specific orders to prevent employees of USAID from entering the building today. And I just find that to be absolutely ridiculous.
Well, the rest of us find that to be absolutely and totally awesome, you little fag.
It's called making sure that the evidence doesn't
That's right.
disappear.
Right, exactly. So, Brooks, you said earlier, when we were talking before the show, you said they're in there dusting for fingerprints. Why don't you tell us, first of all, USAID, one of the things Trump did is he now put it under the State Department. It's no longer this independent agency. A couple of factoids about this USAID. It's all for foreign aid. Basically using foreign countries to launder money that, guess what, went back to all sorts of liberal, left-wing, communist, Democrat political organizations is how it was basically the model for how to do Ukraine. And in addition to that, there are Democrats that, well, you can't get rid of USAID. It's funded by the Congress. Well, it might be funded by the Congress, but it was created by an executive order. So the president has absolute authority to get rid of it anytime he wants. It appears, I'm not entirely positive that he's done that. In addition to that, there was a Supreme Court case during Trump's first term. I think it was the Powers case, if I remember, that he was given the authority to fire anybody in the federal government in the executive branch that he wants to. So there's not a goddamn thing anybody can do about this. But Brooks, I know you're kind of the expert in this. They're in there dusting for fingerprints. Why don't you tell us what this means and what they're going to do? Because I think this is maybe a small budgetary aspect of the U.S. government, but this is deep state central, is it not?
Well, on the surface, it appears small. But see, now what Doge's team did is they did what's called forensic sampling. They go through and they randomly pick accounts, and then they just see how much money is actually being spent, where's it going, who's using it, what kind of receipts are there, do they ever say no? And what happened when they got to USAID, which was like one of the top 6 or 7 that they were going to stop by and visit, every single penny was unaccounted for. Only 9 cents out of every dollar was actually going to where it was earmarked to go. And they funded ISIS, they funded Al Qaeda, they funded Yemen, they funded all kinds of terrorist groups. It was insane. And so it was so bad that with virtually 100% of their sample calls for another sample. So they did another sample, and all of those were bad. So Elon went to President Trump and said, we need to do a 90-day pause on USAID, and we got to go through everything. And so that's what they did. And they disconnected all the email accounts because these agents, and you can call them aid workers if you want to, but they were agents, they would have deleted all the paper trails. They would have done exactly what the FBI does when they go in and they seize a crime scene. They destroy all the evidence and sequester the rest. Doge wasn't going to let that happen. So yeah, it's only 4% of the budget. But when you look at what these groups did and the death and the mayhem and the espionage that they did, the cost is in the trillions of dollars.
And also, look, let's go back to this too. The thing about USAID, Blake, is it's also a CIA front organization. It's been run by the CIA. Guess who else was CIA assets? Well, the mother of the jackal, the born of a jackal, Barack Obama. Yep. Guess what? She worked for USAID. She was a CIA asset. Who the fuck do you think else might have been a CIA asset? How about Barack Hussein Obama? Hang on, Brooks. Let me get that out of your face. There you are. There's Brooks. This is extraordinary that this is all coming out. And I think this is going to lead to a whole series of other exposures that are going to show not only just how corrupt everything is, but who all is involved. And, Brooks, I think you mentioned earlier, they're finding it's about 90% of funneling money to Democrats. Isn't USAID basically how Democrats financed all of their corrupt operations all over the U.S. and all over the world?
Yeah, it's also the color revolutions that we saw take place in 63 sovereign countries. Every single one of them was funded by USAID. USAID is basically the slush fund for the CIA. Movies, books, propaganda, political candidates, judges, all kinds of shit that USAID paid for. That, by the way, is all anti-American and anti-Trump. It's crazy. It's insane. By the time the blood washes clean, USAID is not going to exist anymore, and a lot of people, maybe thousands of people, are going to jail.
You could argue that USAID is already gone. I mean, there are people saying it's basically already gone. Trump's just not going to allow it to be funded again. It's going to simply disappear. Nobody's being allowed into buildings. Blake, this is exciting stuff if you really want to take down the deep state, because if you look at USAID was involved in the revolution in Ukraine, which led ultimately to the Ukraine war through Victoria Nuland. USAID was also involved. If it wasn't for USAID, Bolsonaro would be the president of Brazil right now, and Brazil is the B in BRICS. They're critical to the financial reset. So we have to have a non-corrupted government brought back into Brazil. And also, there's one other piece of this. They are digging into this. You're going to love this, Brooks. I have it in my likes. Let me go to my profile and my likes. They are digging into USAID and where they are. By the way, Pam Bondi is the new Attorney General of the United States. Thank you. Pam got confirmed. I would have rather had Matt Gaetz, but Pam Bondi will do. Oh, and by the way, yes, this is a little meme here. From now on, money laundering will be called foreign aid. This is exactly how they've done it for years. But this is really interesting. I know it's in my likes here somewhere. Brooks, you're going to love this. Oh, breaking.
Yes.
The FBI and DOJ have launched a massive investigation. The honest parts of the FBI and the Department of Justice have launched a massive investigation into where billions in Ukraine funding went. Victoria Nuland, the murderess herself, the genocide. If genocidal mania had a face, it would be this bitch. Well, that or Hakeem Jeffries. Now they're going after Victoria Nuland. Blake, is this an exciting time to be alive or what?
So yeah, it's a historic discovery. Yeah, that was another part of this, another revelation of the Ukraine funding and Zelensky dropping that bombshell that he is not getting all of that money. So where is it going? So clearly it's being used.
We know 4.5 million went to his wife's new automobile.
Right. So yeah, they're just taking all of this money wherever it is.
Yeah,
And this
it was 58% of $236 billion. And that's just the cash.
damn.
Geez, I could buy the Seahawks for that and make them go get a quarterback. Go ahead, Blake. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. I think another 38 billion, I believe, went to the institute. It went to the virology lab at Wuhan. So they were funding the gain of function. I mean, there's everything.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Also, AOC got her start here. Not saying she's CIA, but that led to her political career. I think there's like 7 former CIA directors that are up in this, doing various different tasks.
And 5 of them signed the letter. 5 of them signed the letter that said Hunter's laptop was Russian disinformation.
AOC is CIA, but that booty. Go ahead.
Right. So yeah, I mean, this USA thing just going through with the fine tooth comb, all the government waste and spending. They found this, it's easily glanced over. Oh, there's money going to USAID, but once you open it up to see what's really inside, that's when you find, yes, there's so many nefarious things that people are involved in. So most of us haven't heard of it. I wasn't that familiar with it, but apparently the Democratic Party is freaking out. They were very familiar with it. So now they're going to have a lot of explaining to do. They're freaking out. They're trying to arrest Elon Musk or what other absurdities. They're scrambling, trying to get into the building. Yeah, they definitely are up to something. They don't want people looking any further. And as Brooks is saying, yeah, it could be leading to a lot of people going to jail.
They're making death threats against the 6 of his crew members that are doing. They're making death threats against Elon, and they're making death threats against the president. And they're not going to stand. These people are going to go to jail.
Steve, it's like when you flip over a rock. You're out in the woods. You flip a rock over, and there's a million bugs underneath it, and they all scramble. Guess what? You guys are going down. Boy Dogs 2 is reporting that the CIA has offered its entire workforce a buyout to quit their job and receive 8 months pay. That's called winning. If I'm Donald Trump, when I'm going to hook up to this, because this is coming from Trump. This has been done with lots of other divisions, apparently. I'm going to say, yeah, if you quit your job, you get 8 months pay, and as long as you testify truthfully in any investigations that we want to subpoena you for, we won't prosecute you. That's what he should do. Is he should tell everybody at CIA. Not only do you get to, just quit and get 8 months severance pay, but as long as you cooperate with our investigations, we won't send you to jail. What do you think about that idea, Steve? And what do you think about this whole USAID thing? And what do you think about Barack Obama's slut whore jackal mom being part of US aid? Are you surprised?
Not at all. I mean, let's face reality. I fought the government for years on corruption, and it's the same old story. You go through, you do the data mining, you get the information, you go out, you get the evidence, you present it, to Congress and the powers that be in an attempt to put these people in prison, and all of the people that are on the take, shut it down, throw it under the rug, and then it goes right back to the way that it used to be. So in this particular case, they've done a spectacular job by shutting down the agency, the complete entire agency itself, and preserving the evidence so that that can't be done. We no longer have a Democratic-controlled Congress, so there's nothing they can do about it at this point. And because the president has chosen to make all this information readily available, transparency to the American people, it makes it even better because they can't go backwards. Even if they do try to pull some shenanigans, they can't go backwards because it's already been exposed. It's already been explained to the American people what's going on. And, you know, having a professional like Elon Musk in there who knows computers, who has teams that can go in and grab the appropriate information for prosecution. I'm assuming he's working with, I don't know which law enforcement agency, because obviously the FBI is still corrupt in my eyes.
Yeah, it's the good parts of FBI and DOJ, the Patriot.
Right. But, you know, there again, you know, I look at it as a very positive move forward, and I would absolutely love to be part of it, because there's nothing more frustrating than uncovering millions and billions of dollars worth of government theft, espionage, you know, laying it out, showing who the responsible parties are, and having it swept under the rug, and you leave. It's like putting your arm in a bucket of sand. When you pull it out, it fills up again instantaneously. They go back to doing exactly what they were doing before. And it is, I mean, you talk about heartbreaking when you've done all that work and then you're the enemy, and you become the enemy.
In your case, Steve, risked your life. And by the way, if you don't believe Steve, there's a whole 48 hours documentary from about 5 or 6 years ago, back when well, maybe even 8 years ago, back when the you know, the media was a little bit more honest on Steve and the whole thing that happened at Los Alamos National Laboratory. And yeah, Elon or Elon's buddies or Don Jr., you know, if you're watching, you should hire this guy to go in and show you where all the bodies are buried if you get to Los Alamos National Laboratory and some of those, correct, because he knows all about that shit, because he was the number 2 guy at security there, and you know, you went through the whole thing.
Well, and then the other thing that they do, which they can't do with Donald Trump and they can't do with Elon Musk, is they bankrupted me twice.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you don't have the money that the federal government has, so they come after you. They, you know, they press charges against you that are erroneous, that you have to defend yourself. They file lawsuits against you that you have to defend yourself. And literally, by the grace of God, and I say that legitimately, you know, I was able to recover and come back on 2 separate occasions, but they totally destroyed me financially twice.
All right. Well, yeah, and you deserve to be recompensated for all that.
Compensated.
I will work for free to go after those
guys. Yeah, it's like the scene from Scarface, you know. It's like, I kill a communist for free. They're gonna pay me? I'm gonna carve them up real nice. Okay, so don't piss Steve Doran off, is what I would say to those fuckers. All right, Liz, the Bible says that the Antichrist will be born of a jackal. So that's why I refer to Barack Obama's mother as the jackal, or a jackal, because that's what the Bible says. Haven't you watched those Omen movies? Come on, watch the Omen movies.
Yep.
Gregory Peck and Sam Neill. Those were back when movies were great. All right. There's so many things happening. It's like impossible to cover everything in an episode, but let's get to the next thing. Donald Trump today met with Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. He did 2 shocking things. One, he basically said, look, Gaza is nothing but rubble. It's Stalingrad. So let's move all the Arabs out of Gaza into the neighboring Arab countries, since there's no such thing as a Gazan or a Palestinian. They don't live in Israel. They can't come to Israel because 99% of them are terrorists. And let's just pave the whole thing over and then develop it. Let's redevelop it and turn it into Dubai 2. You know, that's his idea, like a semi-independent city-state in Gaza that he proposed out there. But he also said some other things. He had he got into some agreements, and he made some very, very serious points to Iran, and this is
Oh,
really
yeah.
this is interesting stuff. Let's listen to this.
Why say you're unhappy to sign it if it's Iran and their proxies who have threatened to retaliate against you and your team by killing you guys for taking out Soleimani?
Well, they haven't done that, and that would be a terrible thing for them to do, not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That'd be the end. I've left instructions. If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left. And they shouldn't be able to do it. And Biden should have said that, but he never did. I don't know why, lack of intelligence, perhaps. But he never said it. If that happens to a leader, or close to a leader, frankly, if you had other people involved also, you would call for total obliteration of a state that did it. That would include Iran. So I'm signing this, and it's a very powerful document, but hopefully we're not going to have to use it.
So basically what he did, guys, is he signed something that says if you try to kill any of our political leaders, we're going to blast you off the face of the earth. Now, this is really interesting for a couple reasons, and I got some other things to add here. Steve, I want to start with you Blake. I haven't let Blake go first. We're going to start with you, Blake. Couple other things involved here. If there was an assassination attempt on Trump or Vance or Elon, or a successful one, the warmongers, the Gordon Changs and the John Boltons of the world would instantly blame Iran, and through Iran, their proxy, Russia, right? Or Iran is supposedly Russia's proxy, to try to start World War III would be what they would like to do. That's why this is coming up now. Now, I was told this week that there is a credible threat against the Super Bowl, that there's going to be an attempt there's going to be a terrorist attack at the Super Bowl. That was planned. So what did Trump do today? Well, Donald Trump did something really, really interesting. He went back and further announced that, guess what? He's going to the Super Bowl this weekend. So now they have an excuse to amp up the security at the Super Bowl to levels that have never been seen before, because the president will be there. Blake, I know you're a football fan. I feel sorry for your Vikings because they continue to they're 0-4. But what do you think about this? I think this is all connected. And I think that I don't know if there's going to be an incident at the Super Bowl, but I have a feeling that they still might try something, maybe even more. There might be more motivated now. And what do you think about what he said today? Because Netanyahu looked a little shaken when Trump said, well, let's just move everybody out of Gaza and put up a parking lot.
Yeah, that's a mess, but at least it's kind of an outside the box, or at least we're trying to make a solution here rather than doing more of the same, which isn't going to work. And there's probably not going to be a two-state solution, and it's probably not worth rebuilding. And they probably wouldn't be allowed to rebuild anyway, because regardless of how we stand on the issues, they're going to say that, they can't give them building materials because they're going to make bombs out of it. Maybe they will. I don't know. But they'll either way, it's a mess. They'd probably be better off if they could go elsewhere. They probably have as much of a right to be there, but I don't think that you're going to get those two places to get along. So maybe the U.S. they intervene, or they run the security, or maybe we can move people around. I'm all for whatever solution, because I'm sick of hearing about the Middle East, and it's never going to be fixed, and it's beyond repair at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm for it if that's. And as far as Iranian doing anything against the Super Bowl, I mean, that would be worse. That would be 10 times worse than 9/11. Because people were ready to go to war after 9/11. I didn't believe in it, but a lot of people did, and they were ready to go to Afghanistan and Iraq and seek out Osama bin Laden and hunt him down. I'm 47, I'm too old, but I would be ready to enlist and get into a war with Iran if they actually were dumb enough to do something stupid, a nuclear incident at the Super Bowl. So
let me just say that Persian women are Absolutely gorgeous, sir.
Agreed.
Among my favorites, but you know, practical is practical. There, what you have is 17 million people who are rational and want to be westernized and
Yep.
free, being controlled by 1 million 7th century assholes who have all the guns. That's the problem in Iran right now. Steve, you know, I'm going to go look for the clip while you're talking, but basically what Trump said is Gaza is going to be annexed by the U.S. That's essentially what he said. He said, we're going to take control of Gaza and rebuild the whole place. And I guess kind of in a way we'll own it. It's like he's going to go in and buy up Gaza and just build Dubai 2 on top of it or something. It sounds like an elegant solution to an ongoing zit on the ass of the world, doesn't it to you?
Well, I mean, Palestinians are Jordanian. They are like Jordanian gypsies, for lack of a better term. And the reason that they're no longer in Jordan, they killed the king of Jordan, and they went out. So nobody wants, there's no country that assists the Palestinians. There is no country, I'm talking about Arabic country, that assists the Palestinians. There is no Arabic country that will allow them into their country for any reason whatsoever. They will supply them with arms to try to destroy Israel. But other than that, they want nothing to do with them. They hate their guts. They won't accept any of them. So the best thing that could happen would be to force one of those countries, basically Jordan, in my opinion, to take them back, make the Gaza Strip into a parking lot, which would make it safer for Israel, give it to them because it just gives them more land to defend themselves. And as far as what the president did, saying that he would decimate them if they did any harm to any U.S. official, what he's doing is he's making his enemy responsible for his safety. Because now, if another country or another terrorist organization or whoever starts plotting against Trump or another government official, Elon Musk, whatever, what will happen then is that Iran will shut them down.
Yeah, that's probably the most likely solution there.
Because Reagan did the same thing in essence. He said, if you screw with the American people, I am going to carpet bomb Mecca. I will totally destroy it. There will be nothing left of Mecca. And it was like they put the brakes on instantly when he said that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he did. He used the media, tried to convince the American people that Ronald Reagan was a racist, sexist, nuclear bomb throwing maniac. So he used that in the transition period, basically threatening Iran that if you don't release the hostages, we're going to send the B-52s in and we're going to take care of all of you fuckers. And they bought into it and released the hostages when he was.
Well, they had to buy into it because he was serious.
Right. And he was helped by the way he'd been portrayed by the U.S. media. D. Flynn, I don't know who you are, but you're about to be banned. Palestine has been around for thousands of years. No, it hasn't. Jesus was born there. No, he wasn't. The Ashkenazis moved there 76 years ago. No, they didn't. Tell the Jews to go back to Mongolia. That is the Holy Land. That is the land of the Hebrews. Palestine is a Roman fiction that was created by the Romans to try to suppress the rebellious Hebrews who had been fighting the Roman Empire for hundreds of years prior to that. They basically tried to say, we're going to get rid of Samaria and Judea and Israel and declare this some other state. And then we're going to try to move a bunch of fucking Arabs in there because it was all Caucasian and Jesus was a Caucasian as a means of suppressing the Jewish rebellion. So that's the real history of the area that some people call Palestine, and I never will. It's the land of the Hebrews. It always has been, and they have a right to live there in peace and not be attacked by their Muslim neighbors. So I just thought I'd tell you all that before I banned you. So bye-bye.
Right. It was called Judah for thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
It was called Judah. The word Palestinian was invented by Yasser Arafat.
Yeah, and well, it was the Romans did change the name of the area of Palestine.
The Brits started calling it Palestine.
Yeah.
Yes, but the word Palestinian.
Oh yes,
was created by Yasser Arafat.
Yeah,
but the Brits played that same game when they turned it over.
Sorry, hang on. Okay, so let's take a look at what Trump actually said about Gaza today, because I do think this is actually important to listen to, and especially watch Netanyahu's face. Watch this.
The only reason the Palestinians want to go back to Gaza is they have no alternative. It's right now a demolition site. This is just a demolition site. Virtually every building is down. They're living under fallen concrete that's very dangerous and very precarious. They instead can occupy all of a beautiful area with homes and safety, and they can live out their lives in peace and harmony instead of having to go back and do it again. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years.
Guys, that is, to my mind, an absolutely extraordinary statement to make, especially there are people who claim that Netanyahu and his buddies are actually the ones that have been financing Hamas for the longest time to keep the conflict going, because the conflict keeps guys like him in power. And in that context, he said we're going to own it. He said we're going to go in and we're going to buy it and we're going to level it, blow up all the bombs, and turn it into a paradise on the Mediterranean Sea. I mean, that's pretty fucking extraordinary, isn't it, Blake? I mean, we're living in epic times, right?
That certainly would be extraordinary if they can find world peace out of that. That'd be great. I'll take it however they can do it.
Yeah. Brooks, any thoughts on what?
It was kind of interesting to watch Netanyahu recoil. He actually recoiled when Trump said that. It was like, what the hell did you just say? I mean, he didn't. I don't think he had the text of Trump's speech before he made it. He
Apparently
was by surprise.
Yeah, apparently not. Okay, couple of other things. You know, there's a lot of this is interesting. I found this very interesting. Brianna Morello is reporting that there are also some things going on at TSA. She says TSA is purging their records. TSA is removing the names of Americans listed on their Quiet Skies terror watch list, i.e., anybody who was at January 6th. And we have 2 people that were in Washington on January 6th. I'm also told that federal air marshals are still assigned to follow the January 6th defendants on their flights, even though they've been pardoned. I'm currently suing TSA over this list. They've refused to hand over critical records regarding the innocent Americans added to this list. And I do follow somebody on Twitter who was pardoned. And so that brings back, again, you have this refusal by certain parts of the government to follow the law, follow the instructions. I'm not even sure. I'm not sure that all of the January 6th pardoned, have the prisoners all been released, or are they still fighting that? Brooks, you probably know more about that.
I think there are a couple still being held, but they also went out and shot 2 of them. They went just like within a couple days of them being pardoned. They went there and assassinated them.
Yes, they did.
They did not want them alive.
I wonder if there's ever going to be any consequences for any of this stuff. So what do you guys think? Steve, let's start with you. What do you think about getting rid of TSA entirely? It's again, TSA, they started it, this is a Bush idea. They made it into they gave them a union, and the union, of course, immediately started contributing 90% of their dues and fees to the Democrats. So this is just another Democrat bullshit thing. I hate TSA. And remember, it's not gay if it's TSA. If they're feeling you up, guys, if they're feeling your junk, it's not gay if it's TSA. I just think we need to get rid of TSA entirely and have, I don't know, FBI, air marshals, U.S. marshals, or just the airlines themselves take over airline security. Am I wrong for thinking we should just get rid of TSA completely?
Well, my personal opinion is, just like with other areas, other agencies, is you have local police departments in every city. So why are we paying billions of dollars to useless TSA agents who can't even make an arrest, who literally go against the American people? They're used as a weapon against the American people when we can just hire or allow the airports to hire real policemen with the local jurisdiction to take care of any problems that occur at their airport and run security. Let the local jurisdictions handle it.
Yeah, and they would do it cheaper and more
They do it
effectively.
cheaper. They do it cheaper. It'd be better. They're not unionized. I mean, as a policeman, I was never allowed to join a union. They had like associations and stuff. But I mean, it would be a total 100% better. And then because the monies would be paid by the local airport, they would keep the spending under control, and they wouldn't have lists of people to target that ticked off the Democratic Party.
Right, exactly. Brooks, you had some thoughts, right?
And the TSA has never found anything. All the years that it's been operating, they've never stopped any event. What did happen, though, and I think this is a good thing, is the airplanes themselves have been upgraded so they can't be hijacked. You can't get through the cabin door. They have new dump valves on the airplane. So if they're flying at 30,000 feet and somebody stands up and says, hey, I want to take over this airplane, they dump the air out of the cabin. The oxygen mask come out of the overhead. If you don't have that mask on in 2 minutes, you are unconscious on the floor.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Blake, any thoughts about getting rid of TSA or just anything else before we get to tonight's little cultural meeting?
No, the TSA can go. They should be abolished. They've been politicized and weaponized against the people. They're awful. Most people do not like them, and yeah, they could be easily replaced as marshals or private security or whoever, local police. Yeah, they're not necessary anymore. Never probably were, and as Brooks says, they never caught a single terrorist.
Quit throwing the fingernail clippers away and the bottles of water and all that bullshit. Just let families say goodbye to their loved ones at the gate like it used to be. I want my airports back.
Yep. And I want to be able to wear my fucking shoes. But, the shoe bombers were a real thing. There was, I
have no issue with security. I just have the issue with who's running the security.
Right, exactly.
Well, who stopped the shoe bomber? It wasn't TSA.
Yeah.
No, I know it wasn't TSA, but I'm
passengers
saying I
that
have no
beat the
problem
crap
with
out
the
of the
local
guy.
jurisdiction, running people through, some type of security check, like running them through a metal detector, whatever. But what I have a problem with is all of the money that's being wasted on TSA, who has been used as a weaponized agency against the American people. So let each airport decide locally with a local department what they want to do. Give it back to the local people. Take it away from the feds.
All right, guys, I want to get into something a little bit cultural here before we go on to our last stories. Have you guys ever seen an old British TV show called The Prisoner? Anybody familiar with that?
Yeah.
Patrick McGowan was the star.
Yep.
Steve, you've seen it. Blake, have you seen it?
I think I've just seen the trailer. I'm vaguely familiar. Yeah.
When I was a kid, WKBD TV used to show reruns.
Yeah. So BC, this was an interesting show because Patrick McGowan was a very famous actor in the 1960s. He was a TV actor. He was in like Ice Station Zebra. And this is an example of The Prisoner. And he played a secret agent, a British secret agent in a show called Danger Man. And then that show ended, and then he did The Prisoner, and he only did 17 episodes. And the story basically is that he's a high-ranking MI6 spy. And he angrily resigns one day. And he goes back to his apartment. He's followed there by other MI6 agents. They gas him, they knock him out, and he wakes up and he's this place called The Village. He's in this place called The Village. And The Village is just this nice little Welsh resort town, or nobody really knows where it is. And he is now told that he will live here the rest of his life and that he no longer has a name. He's just a number, and he's number 6. And he deals constantly with number 2. And number 2's job is to get information out of him. And the thing they want specifically is, why did you resign? And he doesn't know which side they're on. He doesn't know if these are really British agents. He doesn't know if they're Russian agents. He doesn't know who's kidnapped him, right? So they go through all of these different ways to trick him and trip him up. And they give him hallucinogenic drugs. They program his dreams. They do all these different things to manipulate him and control him. And the village is this very pleasant place where everybody's very flat and kind of doesn't have a personality. And when they walk away or they greet each other or they walk away, they don't say bye-bye. They say, be seeing you. And they do this. And I got to give some credit. And nobody knows. Nobody has ever been able to figure out what the fuck the show is all about, right? And it ends in a very bizarre way because he's constantly trying to find out who's number one. If you're number two, who's number one? And the number ones, when he outwits them, die. They get replaced. They get killed. They get replaced by somebody else who tries to trick him into this. So I highly recommend it. There's actually a stream on YouTube where they show all the episodes and you can watch it. It's really interesting. But my brother said, when they say the be seeing you thing, have you noticed they all do this? Anybody know what that is? Blake, you know. What is it?
Yeah, it's an Illuminati symbol. Yes, we're always watching or something like that. Yeah.
It's the Illuminati thing. Whenever somebody does this, it's Illuminati. So Dave, who isn't that bright, actually said, you know what the whole thing is? He goes, I get it. That's the whole fucking thing is. This is about what the Illuminati are planning to turn the world into. This is in 1967 they did this show. Wow. This pleasant place where you have no freedom. You have the illusion of freedom. There's one episode about there's a democratic election. The prisoner runs, number 6 runs to be number 2 and run the whole village. And it's all, obviously it's a fake election. And it's like, you look at all the metaphors, the whole thing is a metaphor for the Illuminati basically taking over the world, saying if you can't escape, and if you go outside the boundaries, if you try to think or act or talk differently than everybody else is supposed to, we cut you off. We get rid of you, or we replace you with somebody who will cooperate. And I'm just going to say, look, go back and watch the show. I didn't realize McGowan knew what the hell. Who knew what the Illuminati was in 1967? Because back then, guess what, Steve? You had to go to a library and read a book about it, if you could even find a book about it, right? There was no internet.
There were lots of warnings. I mean, back to President Washington. Washington was talking about how the Illuminati was trying to infiltrate the different areas of government and the Masons.
Yep.
So that they could take control of the world.
Yep.
And that's, that was way before Patrick McGowan. And I think, that a lot of these things were like they were trying to warn people around the globe, like this is coming, this is going to happen. It seems far-fetched, but it's going to happen.
And then here we are, 40, 50 years later. And this is exactly we're on the brink of them trying to create this world. And
15-minute cities. Yep, 15-minute cities.
And calling him the prisoner, what he's saying is you will be the prisoner unless you fight.
It was a metaphor that he was us.
He was us.
He was us.
He was. So I'm just going to tell everybody, go to the YouTube stream. If you got YouTube, if you don't, if you find it on another streaming service, watch the show, watch all 17 episodes. I'm now going to go back and watch the whole thing again because now I'm going to understand it and get it much better than I did. Geez, I've been trying to figure it out for 40 or 50 years myself. What the fuck is this all about? And now I get it. So great show. That's my cultural recommendation for everybody. Brooks, I think you will get an awful lot out of it. Okay, one more thing. Apparently, it is confirmed by Fox News that the CIA has asked its employees to go chase a rolling donut.
Fox News alert, the Wall Street Journal is reporting the CIA has reportedly just offered a buyout to its entire workforce. Everyone in the agencies telling late today they can quit their jobs and receive about 8 months of pay and benefits. It's a part of Trump's push to downsize the federal government. More as we get it.
All right, so that is apparently a true thing, guys. I shouldn't be surprised by this, but I am. Do you know that already Doge has saved the American taxpayers just what they've done already? and again, their Doge doesn't do anything. They simply make recommendations to the president, and then he signs off on it. $46 billion a year has been saved now in just 2 weeks. What the fuck is going on, Blake? Brooks. Sorry.
Well, they made statements that they've already exceeded $1.2 trillion. The president hasn't signed off on it yet, but they said it's going to be easy to hit the 2 trillion. They're going to probably go beyond that. They haven't got to the Department of Education yet. They haven't got to the GSA yet. These are enormous bureaucracies that consume more money than you can imagine, especially on the state level. In fact, the federal Department of Education actually controls more governor races than you can shake a stick at. They're very powerful as a union.
Blake, what's coming next? And apparently RFK also got out of committee. RFK is now going to the full Senate floor, where he will almost certainly be confirmed. Pam Bondi, RFK, all we need now is Kash Patel, and it's on. Blake, were you going to miss the Department of Education? Because apparently that's the chopping block. You going to miss those guys?
Well, I'm actually in favor of having a very small Department of Education that really just gathers data on the different states. That's going to be its only function, is finding out what are other states doing, innovative new ideas, but they are not supposed to be some kind of top bottom, no child left behind, no common core, everything one size fits all kind of a thing. I do like them as just information gathering, but you could probably replace that with like a computer pretty much. So you wouldn't need much. So I'm all for it. So let's start gutting all these places down. The CIA, I'm actually curious, how vital are they to national security if they're willing to just let everybody leave?
What do we need CIA for if we have NSA?
And the military and whoever else. Intelligence gathering. I don't know.
What do we need them for other than to assassinate presidents and target American citizens who are expressing their constitutional rights? Steve, any thoughts about getting rid of the Department of Education? Or is this just going to be like, we're just going to lurch from one win to another and just be happy about it?
Well, I'm sick of the Department of Education. I'm sick of the Department of Education at the state level. They have no right. The whole system was set up for each jurisdiction, each county, each city, each municipality to run their own school systems, to fund their own school systems, to make the decision what's best for their children. And it's gotten totally out of control with everybody wanting, their fingers in the pie. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of all the politically correct baloney. I'm sick and tired of them dictating, well, you can only have the money if you do this or you do that. I want all that nonsense gone. Again, just like the airports, I want it to go back to the local people. And if the local people don't like something that's going on or some nonsense that's going on in the schools, the teachers are fired, the administrators are fired, and they hire new people and move on with the programs that they want for their children.
Okay. Mark Schroeder says that The Prisoner is on Prime. So if you have Prime, you can watch it there, or you can watch it on the YouTube stream. I've been watching it on YouTube. So, and Brooks, I really think you will thoroughly enjoy figuring out the puzzle. Although I gave you the answer, it took me 50 years to figure out, thanks to my brother telling me what it was all about. So, okay. One last thing I would like to finish with, which is that we have a member of Congress who thinks that Elon Musk shouldn't be involved in the government because he's just not a very smart guy. So let's go to my girlfriend AOC and see what she has to say about Elon Musk.
This dude is probably one of the most unintelligent billionaires I have ever met or seen or witnessed.
Because you've never
which, you can probably even glean that from watching these people on TV. Anyways, all of that is to say is that they don't do their homework. Clearly, they're putting 19-year-olds in at the Treasury. This dude is not smart. And the danger in the lack of intelligence and the lack of expertise that Elon has. I mean, this guy is one of the most morally vacant, but also just least knowledgeable about these systems that we really know of. But the point is that what that means is that they're going to hit a button inevitably. They are going to hit a button and things can go sideways.
She's so stupid it makes my head hurt. She's so sweetie, come to Vegas. Let me fuck all the stupid out of you. Let me put something in your mouth so we don't have to listen to your voice. And what the fuck is that behind her? It's a typewriter. This is 2025.
Yeah.
What the fuck is the typewriter there? Is that the typewriter Hitler wrote Mein Kampf on that was paid for by the Rothschilds? I mean, Jesus Christ, girl, you're a fucking bartender. This guy landed a rocket back on the same pad it launched from twice, but he's not smart. Guys, is there any hope for humanity at all? What we got to start thinking about what we're going to do with all the Democrats when we're done fixing everything. Any thoughts?
I think bars need, good drink mixers.
She's probably a terrible bartender too. I bet she messes up the orders all the time.
Right, exactly.
Brooks is proof in the pudding that we have to get rid of all of these. We have to get rid of all of these things that keep the common, smart, intelligent, common sense man from running for office. I mean, who can come up with $6 million? If you're corrupt, you can. If you're not, you can't, unless you're like a billionaire or a millionaire on your own. So it's absolutely ridiculous to me that these systems stay in place. I want to see those dismantled as well.
Deb from Sacramento says, slap her with my dick. I can't help myself. She's an October 13th Libra. I can't help myself. That booty, those boobs. But God, it's like, guys, how are we going to save these? Are we going to be able to save these people? They're so dumb. I mean, that has
save
to be.
them. Why do you want to save them? I want to see them go to prison.
That. But then there's some of them that haven't actually committed crimes. They're just stupid. What do we do with them? Do we just give them their own little patch in Utah somewhere and let them?
Well, she went from bartender to $20 million to having $20 million in the bank. I think she can take care of herself.
Oh, like $100 million. Yeah, and it's all paid for by CIA. All right. That's all I have, gentlemen. Any other issues or thoughts you wanted to bring up before we get done? And I go have my Baja Fresh that's sitting outside there waiting for me.
Well, cryptocurrency took quite a hit.
Yeah, but I think it's bounced back pretty much, hasn't it?
Yeah, I figured it would. The AI is manipulating it to buy server space and electricity.
Yeah, they've recouped a lot of the loss, not all of it. XRP's back up to 251, Bitcoin's at 98,000, Ethereum's 27. So Doge is up a little bit at 26.
What about XRP?
XRP is 251. So it's up 19% recently, but it's over the last 7 days, it's down about 18.5%. So, it's still about $1 short of the peak.
I'm keep hoping for that 100-to-1 jump it's supposed to make.
Well, I think none of that's going to happen until we have the entire cabinet in place. Steve, any final thoughts or other things you wanted to bring up that happened this week? It's crazy trying to keep up with all the news that happens.
Yeah, I'm actually impressed that the illegals are now in my home state of Arizona are destroying cars and trying to burn buildings down and things of those getting a tongue tie. And things of that nature. And then they want us to welcome them with open arms. They're going to destroy our country. They're going to destroy our cities. And we're going to go, oh, we want you to stay now that you've destroyed everything. It's like, get out.
By the way, it's USAID that buys all those Mexican flags you see out on the streets.
Yes, USAID. That's right.
Again, guys, I would say get on. Like, if you're not on Twitter X, get on Twitter X because it is the best source of news out there. That's where you're going to get the real story. Not even from any of the televised networks. I don't care if they're conservative or liberal or whatever. Get on Twitter X because that's where the information is. That's where people are digging out the truth.
Well, and one last thing: all of these sanctuary cities and all of these states that pass laws where they release the illegal aliens without letting ICE know about it. I think every single politician who is behind allowing those criminals to go back out on the street, murderers, rapists, you name it.
Yep.
Every one of those people need to be prosecuted whenever they commit a crime before ICE catches them and deports them, because that is, I mean, all the sanctuary cities do is make it that much more unsafe for everybody else, because ICE could just go to the jail, pick them up, deport them, but they release them without giving ICE any knowledge of their release, and they go back and victimize people on the street. So I think that the politicians who have created that mess needs to also be held criminally accountable for all that nonsense.
I believe Trump wrote an executive order that allows victims of those perpetrators that are released by government officials to sue those government officials civilly for damages.
Good.
That would be good.
That would be great.
Well, that's another thing. I hear some of the January 6ers are now going to be going after their persecutors in court, which is
and they're going to be running for office.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean that one guy that was kept in the closet-sized cell, those people need to go to prison.
Yeah.
Because if any prisoner in this country were kept in those kind of conditions, they'd own the freaking prison. That guy needs to be compensated for being tortured for what?
And the people that did it,
an unusual punishment,
need to go to prison for at least 10 years at a minimum. Me personally, Steve, I would just make the French Revolution great again. Anybody who would do that kind of for political purposes in create a gulag just doesn't belong in the United States. But at the minimum, let's at least put him in prison for a while.
I have no issue with that. Zero issue.
Yeah. Blake, any final thoughts or other issues? Guys, I'm just going to tell you, basically everything we talked about tonight is just what happened today. Okay. We spent an hour and a half talking about just what fucking happened today. We didn't even catch all the other stuff.
Maybe we can get a sponsor and we can do like 5 days a week.
That's right, folks. Don't forget to hit the CBD Gurus. Don't forget to hit Mike Barapat's link in the description to all our great sponsors. Don't forget also, well, they're not really sponsors. They're my sponsors, not yours. But anyway, and you can always hit us up on Rumble with Rumble Rants, or you can become a subscriber to the channel, and that's like you can give us $5. I mean, we'll take it and help keep everything going. Blake, and I haven't paid Blake in a while. So, Blake, any final thoughts or feelings, or do you want to scream out of your vagina like some of the women I saw? A bunch of women in the woods screaming out of their vaginas. I'm like, well, thanks for showing it to us. But anyway, one is very much like another. But go ahead there, Blake.
Well, you're right. It's been an amazing couple of weeks. Trump is back. It's exceeded all expectations, and it's paving the way for more good news. Couldn't imagine what it would be like had Kamala, if these people had stayed in power anymore. They're also going after the FBI. So all the people, it's kind of they're calling it a retribution mission. They're also freaking out at how many resources were used to target all these J6 people. And you're right, Mike. It's time for reparations and retribution and all that kind of good stuff.
I don't like to call it retribution. I like to call it justice.
Justice.
Yeah, they're calling it retribution. They do not want to face justice.
One man's retribution is another man's justice.
I mean, retribution doesn't even qualify for what they've done. I mean, justice is the word for them getting what they deserve, for the people who did it to them getting what they deserve.
We haven't even talked about the Sovereign Wealth Fund. That's something I'm going to have to research a little bit more. President Trump has created. Well, Brooks, do you know anything about it? I mean, we'll go 5 minutes over. I think that is, again, sounds very Nassara-ish to me. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, he's talking about making some major acquisitions. One of them being TikTok. He's thinking about buying TikTok and putting it in the Sovereign Wealth Fund. In other words, it belongs to the American people, and if it makes a profit, it goes to paying off the national debt.
Here's the interesting thing. Okay, here's a clip of Trump, guys. If I can keep you, if anybody needs to leave, just go ahead. If not, let me play this video of President Trump signing the order. It's about 3 minutes long, and it should give us some clarity on what this is, because I do think, in terms of the financial reset that I think the world's going to go through, I think this is really important stuff. So let's
Nancy, yes, we do take questions. You just got to write it on the screen.
This is an executive order. This charges your Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, and your Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, to begin a process that will hopefully result in the creation of an American sovereign wealth fund.
It's a very exciting event. We're going to have a sovereign wealth fund, which we've never had. We have a lot of things that create wealth, and you're seeing that over the last 2 weeks. I think we've created more wealth. Other people have created de-wealth, the people, my predecessors. We're creating a lot of wealth. Scott, maybe you'd like to say something about it, and I'd ask also Howard to say something about it.
Yes, sir. This is very exciting. We're going to stand this thing up within the next 12 months. We're going to monetize the asset side of the U.S. balance sheet for the American people. We're going to put the assets to work, and I think it's going to be very exciting. We're going to study best practices that's done around the world. It'll be a combination of liquid assets, assets that we have in this country as we work to bring them out for the American people.
The extraordinary size and scale of the U.S. government and the business it does with companies should create value for American citizens. If we are going to buy 2 billion COVID vaccines, maybe we should have some warrants and some equity in these companies and have that grow for the help of the American people. So I bring all these things together, I think Scott and I will create an amazing sovereign wealth fund for you, sir.
So other countries have sovereign wealth funds, and they're much smaller countries, and they're not the United States. We have tremendous potential in this country, tremendous. You're seeing that, what's happened just in a short period of time. And as an example, TikTok, we're going to be doing something perhaps with TikTok, and perhaps not. If we make the right deal, we'll do it, otherwise we won't. But I have the right to do that, and we might put that in the sovereign wealth fund, whatever we make, or if we do a partnership with very wealthy people, a lot of options, but we could put that as an example in the fund, and we have a lot of other things that we could put in the fund. And I think in a short period of time we'd have one of the biggest funds, and some of them are pretty large, I must tell you. Some of like the Saudi Arabia fund is on the large side, but eventually we'll catch it. But we're going to create a lot of wealth for the fund, and I think it's about time that this country had a sovereign wealth fund, and these two gentlemen and some others are going to work with them very closely, and they'll be heading it up, and they're going to do a great job. Two highly respected people that have done unbelievably well in the world, in the real world. So that's a big deal, huh?
Yes, sir. I think it's going to create value and be of great strategic importance.
Okay, guys. I can't believe I almost forgot to talk about this, but here we are. This is the most significant change in possibly in American history since the income tax was put in, or since the New Deal was brought in. Because here's what he's talking about. He's talking about, well, if we're going to buy pharmaceuticals from a company, we're going to own part of the company. If we're going to buy cars from a company, we're going to own part of that car company. If we're going to buy Air Force One, these things are all going to go into the sovereign wealth fund. Now think about the other things we can put into the sovereign wealth fund. This is right out of the NESARA playbook. How about all of our natural gas? How about all of our oil? How about all of our coal? How about all of our gold? And guess what? You put the gold into the sovereign wealth fund, whatever that's going to be. It's an asset fund. He said assets. And by the way, stocks and bonds are not necessarily assets. They are liabilities in reality. But you put all this stuff in there. The Social Security Trust Fund can go in there. You put all this stuff in there. Then all you have to do is say, you know what? We're revaluing our gold. I talked about this with Andy Schechtman, who is on Miles Franklin, owns Miles Franklin, gold and silver trader, brilliant economist. All we have to do is say, you know what? Our gold is revalued. It's not $2,400 anymore for an ounce of gold. It's $30,000. It's $100,000, like Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's going to go in there. And you know what? Guess what? We now have enough money to pay off this paper debt that we owe to the Federal Reserve. We only have to take 5% of our gold. Okay, we're going to sell it at $100,000. Okay, it's sold, or we just take that gold and say, okay, this offsets the national debt. The national debt is over. We no longer have a need for the Federal Reserve. We no longer have a need to tax the American people, which is what the Federal Reserve uses the IRS for, to pay off the European bankers that we owe the debt to. Guys, this can change everything.
Even though Europe hasn't paid us 1 penny back for any of the wars,
Yeah,
we owe them.
Well, no, the thing that's interesting about that, Steve, is what they did is they did this in Japan and Germany, the Marshall Plan. What they did is we printed the new German Deutschmark. After the Reichsmark went away, we printed the new German Deutschmark. We print 1 for them and 10 for us, 1 for them and 10 for us, 1 for them and 10 for us. And then 5-10 years after World War II, the Deutschmark went from being fractions of a penny, like, I don't know, the Iraqi dinar, and to $3.22 or something against the American dollar. And it was all paid for. That's how we paid for it, with paper. Now we're going to pay this stuff off with gold. I don't know if anybody has any comments, but I actually think this is probably the most exciting thing I've heard of in my lifetime, because it can change everything about the way we do business. Anybody have any comments or thoughts?
Well, this is the beginning of the golden age. This is what we wanted to have happen. We want to move away from a debt-based economy and move more toward an asset-based economy. And of course, that's going to pull it away from the globalists, which they hate, because they've been trying for now, over 200 years to beat the United States down so that freedom and liberty disappear from the earth, like they had been gone for thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
There was no such thing as freedom or liberty before 1787. It didn't exist anywhere on the earth. And the globalists want their planet back. They want their planet back. And that means they're trying to beat us to get it. And this sovereign wealth fund is the key to defeating them for maybe 1,000 years.
Yep. And there's a reason why none of the presidents before Trump have done anything like this. Blake or Steve, any thoughts on this? I think it's fucking exciting.
I mean, I think it's exciting, but I want it set up so that it's protected, so that if other people get in power, they can't do anything.
Rob it.
Yeah. Well, that's why we have to annihilate the deep state over the next 4 years. Nancy had a question. Thank you. Do the tariffs result in higher gasoline prices for Americans? Maybe for a short term, like a couple of months. But here's the thing. How do we defeat that, Nancy? We start drilling our own oil.
Exactly.
Pumping our own gas.
Turn our own oil back on.
And the price just goes, because we can supply more gas than the world could use in 1,000 years right here in the United States. So tariffs, the whole scare tactics on tariffs, it's like, okay, great. So foreign goods are going to cost more. Okay. So buy American, Toyota, you want to sell cars in America? Guess what? You got to build them in America. So
that's what happened to us in the aluminum business. I was in the high pressure die casted aluminum business, and we were buying aluminum from China, and Trump tariffed it. And we thought, oh my God, the price is going to go through the roof. It's going to drive us out of business. So we started buying American aluminum because the price was at parity then. Guess what happened? All of our quality problems disappeared because what we were buying from China was recycled beer cans. And what we were buying from America was pure 99.99% pure aluminum. And all of our quality problems went away.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, that kind of brings me back around to some 9/11 stuff. I don't want to get too deeply into 9/11, but you guys have to understand that, yes, an aluminum airplane can go through a steel building. Why? Because aircraft aluminum alloy 2024 T3 is infinitely harder than the aluminum you get in aluminum foil, or it's much harder. It's about 80% of the strength of steel and about 20% of the weight. And at 400 miles an hour, it creates massive amounts of kinetic energy, and boom, it goes through it like a hot knife through butter. I can't believe Mike almost forgot to talk about it. He must have a pizza or massage waiting. I actually have Baja Fresh chicken taquitos waiting, and my massage was Saturday for my birthday. So can you guys believe I'm 56 now? Fuck.
Oh, good Lord.
I'm 56.
Wow.
Shut up, Steve. All right, guys, that is going to wrap it up. A lot of important stuff. It's going to be like, I hope it's like this for the rest of of the next 4 years that we're just so busy. There's so many things to talk about. We can't get it all in. So thank you all for being here for Brooks and Blake and Steve. Oh, one more thing. I forgot completely. Yes, you can get Brooks Ag News, Ivan and Roxy. We still have to be worried about that at brooksagnew.com, brooksagnew.blog/ivermectin report. That is the link. It should also be in the description of this video. Get in there, pick it up, and Brooks, I had an incident where I felt like I was coming down with something a couple days ago. Took ivermectin. 4 or 5 hours later, I felt better. The next day, no sign. I haven't had a cold or the flu since I started getting it from you. I every time I feel like I might be coming down with something, some virus, pop it. Sometimes I don't even have to finish the whole 5 days. I just take it for a day or two.
I had a little bit of cruise crud when I came back from Italy.
Yeah.
Took 5 days of ivermectin. Done. Never lost a day of work. I mean, I just felt crappy. And I took the ivermectin and it was gone. I get mail every day from people who swear the ivermectin saved their lives. It does save your life.
Yeah, it's
It's
amazing.
These viruses.
It's amazing stuff. And somebody else said they just got it. Somebody else said they got it from you, and it was great. And
that was Linda. She got it. Linda Smith got it in 2 weeks. That's about what we're getting it out now. About 2 weeks. So. Yeah. And you're not going to beat the price anywhere. $78 for 100 tablets, full strength, FDA approved for human use. You're not going to beat the price anywhere on the planet because we sell it at cost.
All right, guys. I will be back tomorrow with Jen. We'll be doing Tell the Truth Wednesday. It's Jen's last show for a week or so, so you want to come and join us on that one. Again, don't forget on Rumble, you can Rumble rant. You can subscribe. Follow us on Rumble. Follow us on YouTube. Be masculine. Be macho. Keep your women straight. Keep them straight so they don't end up like AOC. She's so mouthy. Got to give her something in that mouth just to shut her up. So be a man. Be tough. Guys, let's come back here. The Rebel Alliance. Let's come back here next week and talk about how Pam Bondi and RFK Jr. and Kash Patel have all been confirmed. Let's come back to that. We'll talk about it next week. For Blake, for Brooks, for Steve, I'm Mike Barra. Peace out. See you tomorrow. Everybody have a great Tuesday